How's it going, guys? And welcome to the Blue Shifting. I can't snap very well. I don't know why. Okay, so if you're confused, you weren't paying attention last episode. Ha ha ha. Because last episode technically was the finale of Sunrider Liberation Day. Like, that was the end. There's no more to the plot, main plot, that is. However, there is a side bonus thing. Because I guess, I don't know. They felt like they needed to add more to the story, make more fun. Potentially have different endings. So what's going to happen is apparently we're going to do something called the Return, where Sheild is going to wake up suddenly, I think a day or two before the Liberation Day Massacre, with the knowledge that we have of what happens and how the betrayal goes down. And so now we're going to have an opportunity to use it. But from what I've gleaned from some of you, is that it is very easy to really radically just screw yourself. Apparently, like, there's a lot of decisions you make, and like, if you make the wrong one, you're dead. So we'll see how long this takes me. Now, the way I do things, once again, I only go for one ending. Well, I count that as a good ending. If we get a bad ending, I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix it effectively. I know there's multiple good endings, so we'll see what happens, but, I don't know. Let's just enjoy this while we can. So technically, I guess this is episode 14, but it's pretty much bonus content at this point. I have no idea what to expect. I'm excited, though. I'm really excited. So, let us begin. Okay, yes. Alternate universe, Kato Shields mysteriously wakes up 3 days before Liberation Day Massacre, aware of who will betray him. Armed with this knowledge of the future, he embarks on a desperate race against time to change the bleak future, but will he successfully rewrite the past, or the story will end in bloody death. And if you can see here, there's looks like 20 endings. So, we'll have to see how this all plays out, but let's cross our fingers. I'm really excited. Just so you know, I will be playing all of these by myself. Like, it's gonna happen. I just won't show you all of them, because I want you to have something to look forward to if you decide to get the game. Hopefully you do. It's fantastic, and we want to support them as much as possible to get forward the sequel that they're planning on doing. Alright. So without further ado, let's get started. From the moment humanity began to unravel the mysteries of quantum theory, scientists and emperors alike became obsessed with the singular technology. During the search for the Holy Grail, countless other findings which would come to greatly aid and terrorize humanity were discovered. The warp drive, warheads which could level entire continents, faster-than-light communications, even a massive doomsday weapon which could extinguish entire stars, the paradox core. But all those powers were irrelevant next to what would be possibly the Holy Grail, a time machine. In its most simple application, one could undo past mistakes. If an action ended up causing an adverse reaction later in time, one could simply travel to before, when the action was made to react differently, with the benefit of hindsight. Whoa, that's a terrible idea, though. I mean, barring literal destruction of everything, messing with time is just no bueno. Like, just don't do it. Too many variables. The full implications of such a device were still far more awesome. One could stop aging, freeze time by everyone else but oneself, and perform an unlimited number of actions while everyone else was frozen. Translocate other people and objects anywhere in time. And that technically space, it's the same thing. Become older, become younger. Given an infinite amount of time, one could become anyone and accomplish anything. Pretty much. By no exaggeration, someone with a time machine would not be human, but a god. Well, that's talking about a time machine that literally can rewire your timeline, which is a bit step up from like a TARDIS. TARDIS can jump around in time, but you still age like normal, just in a time machine. Alice Ashada pondered those thoughts as she walked through the diode cloning facility. So this must be a ways into the past, then. Her steps took her to a familiar location, her old office. I'm guessing it's a tank. So, even this detail has been recreated exactly as before. It was here, when the merest sliver of a second, she brushed her fingers against that almighty power. The Paradox Project. The galaxy's greatest and most dangerous minds had gathered here in the furthest corners of the galaxy to finally attain what had eluded humanity for so long. They were exiled Alliance researchers and new Imperial scientists deemed too dangerous even for the tyrants of New Eden. Oh, that's a potent combination. But attempt after attempt, year after year, they had failed to produce results. This kind of reminds me of Fringe, the fantastic show that, well, it ended poorly, but it was great for the first season. Scientists just cannot stop. Computations done through the best of supercomputers and artificial intelligences failed to yield breakthroughs. It was then, when they realized such knowledge was beyond the comprehension of mere humans, they needed to create a new race, capable of thought processes beyond the capacity of even the most gifted of Homo sapiens. Oh, that's why these clones exist. First, a prototype was created, Alice Ashada. They watched her, raised her as one of their own, even gave her a surname of the director of the Paradox Project, who assumed the role of her father. But it was all a lie. Humans created me for their own ends, and tossed me away at a moment I fulfilled my use. The prototype produced some promising results, accomplishing what superior supercomputers and the galaxy's best minds could not. Alice successfully translocated molecules by fractions of a second. Whoa, that's still a humongous breakthrough. A breakthrough produced by even before the artificial girl had turned 16. Using the lessons learned from the prototype, the Alpha was finally created. Alice's teeth clenched. The scum created my sister and I, just so we would be tools in their search to become gods. But I stopped their plans and saved the both of us. The prototype proved far more difficult to control than her creators believed. The disaster of Diode, she caused it. Remember, it's V for Vendetta burning the facility. She accidentally discovered the truth of her existence. Her belief that she was a normal human girl who lived with her caring parents in a research station was shattered that day, the first of many of the pieces of her sanity which would break following that day. Yes, it was here when I struck down my father with my very hands. What else could I do? That was merely a test run. They were going to toss me away like an obsolete machine. I had no choice. I was going to rescue my sister and escape this prison. But Alice's life did not have such a happy conclusion. My sister. Alpha's voice disturbed Alice. Her younger sister approached her. Alpha touched Alice's eyes with her index finger. A single droplet of tear ran down her fingers as she wiped Alice's eyes. Your thoughts, they are bleak. Alice turned around, putting her back to her sister. She closed off her mind so that her younger sister would not see the depths of her madness. Why do you retreat into the abyss so? Soon we shall control all of humanity under our grasp. We will rule those who sought to control us. Oh. Our spies continue to make great inroads at the controlling world. Let me try that line again. Our spies continue to make great inroads at controlling the world. Be savior of humanity, the mighty Captain Shields. If he continues to follow our plan, then both the Alliance and Pact will unify, and when the Ebon Fleet arrives, he will rally the galaxy against humanity's greatest threat. As a result of that conflict, he will become not merely a captain, but something far more powerful. And with his greatest love, our proxy, controlling him, we will rule the galaxy from the shadows, constantly leading him down the path we desire. Such is our destiny, no? We were created to be greater than them. No. Human filth. Savages. The galaxy would do better than every last trace of them were wiped from existence. Suddenly, Alpha embraced her sister from behind. It will not be long, my sister. You have suffered, but I seek to create a universe where we can finally be safe. Yes, a galaxy where we can be safe. Alice stiffly touched her sister's hand. I will go and create that. This is the only way. My sister is yet naive. She does not yet understand the threat the humans pose. Alice took her sister's arms off of her and walked away by herself. I will return to the front lines, and I am taking that with me. That accursed machine. I will need her for what is to come. Be safe, my sister. I shall return, and when I do, the galaxies shall have changed. With that, Alice's shadow walked into the shadows. This is right before the final battle, right up to the Liberation Day. Oh, back to Sheild. Sheild tossed and turned in his sleep. Vivid images flashed in his mind. This was different from the other nightmares. The ones that would have blood. The ones he would have of blood-soaked faces on Ingress. Oh, that was a memory. Where that young girl would die again and again. He would see her pick up the knife every time, but despite knowing what was going to happen, his body would be paralyzed. Then her face would morph into his sister, Marae. You killed me. No, tonight's nightmare was different. Fetch, man. Ah! Oh, that actually scared me. Jeez. Images flashed by, too quick to decipher, but something horrible had happened. No, will happen. I wonder if there was more than one, because I only caught a glimpse of one. He was going to make a horrible mistake. He jolted awake. He realized he was in his bed. He shook his head, relieved he was just having a nightmare. Wait a minute. He felt someone sleeping beside him. What the heck? Sheild spun around and pulled the covers off his bed, revealing a certain pink-haired doctor nestled up next to him. What the? No! Ugh! Sheild leaped out of his bed and stood upright as a steel rod, eyeing Claude with outrage. Certainly he had known the ship's doctor would go on any lengths to molest him, but to actually break into his quarters after hours? Besides, his room was locked with the strongest encryption protocol on board the ship. Ikari had seen to that his door would not be broken into ever again. Just how did this buffoon of a doctor get here? For a moment, he tried to recall if he'd been drinking heavily in the mess hall before arriving at his quarters. No doubt the Liberation doctor would have used such a lapse in his defenses to latch onto him into his bedside. Ugh. Thankfully, he recalled that he had merely been filling out paperwork the whole night, before finally deciding he had enough and resigned himself to listening to Ava's lectures in the morning. Claude opened her eyes with a yawn. Good morning. Good morning? How did you bypass the security and get in here? Claude stood up from the bed, her hair a mess. It was such a pitiful sight, Captain. Looking at your sleep-deprived face every day. As ship's doctor, I had to do something to remedy your sleep disorder stat. Of course, the best remedy would be a contented deep sleep after pounding your white-hot vanguard into this woman of your dreams. So I, Claude, Shilio, stepped up to the task. Shisha! Oh, Claude, she gets worse every time! You can use this body in however manner you desire. Your acting medical officer is ready to serve under, above, in front of, and behind you, Captain. Jeez. Sheild rubbed his face in irritation. The conversation obviously not going anywhere. Hey, cut it out. I'm asking you to tell me what you're doing here. Well, I'm sure it'll become clear soon enough. What? As if on cue, Sheild heard the door to his cabin open. The heck? He quietly knelt down beside his bed. If there was another intruder in his office, then that would mean the security protocols on his door had failed entirely. He was still in bad memories of what happened the last time someone had broken into his room, and wasn't about to take any chances this time. He quietly reached into his closet and withdrew a concealed pistol. He signaled to Claude to hide behind him. Shield's grimaced when Claude gripped onto him from behind, her massive boobs, leaving 2 impressions on his back. Wonderful, she whispered in his ear. Captain. Actually, the gun won't be necessary. How do you know that? Because it's Chigara. Suddenly, Sheild heard Chigara's voice upstairs. Chigara? What was she doing in his office at this time? Granted, someone as talented as her could easily crack Ikari's security protocols, but why would she... Oh. Suddenly he felt something tear through his psyche as if a bullet had just gone through his temple. Chigara! She... But what he saw next completely shattered the remaining bits of his mind. Come on, before the commander sees us. It was him. Sheild watched, his jaw agape, as his identical clone took Chigara's hand and plopped her on top of his lap on his desk. What was going on? It's like a time rift had just happened. Even though his first instinct was to barge into Chigara and his clone Little Romantic Rendezvous, gun in hand, and demand answers, his military training kept him firmly hidden behind his bed, looking for an escape route. So what's going on? I guess I don't really know. He racked his brain for a possible explanation for this bizarre turn of events. Could this be a packed plot? Did they embed a spy wearing a hollow mask to impersonate him? Oh, okay. No, that would never work. First off, anyone boarding the ship was subjected to a full DNA scan. Then could it be the prototypes? That seemed a possibility, as they had massive armies of clones. Could they have acquired his DNA sample somewhere? That's actually... Oh, I wonder if that could be real. All it would take is to breed a second Kaito Sheild would be a strand of his hair left somewhere unwittingly by him. But it would still take a lifetime of training for that clone to successfully imitate him. And there was no way someone could imitate him as Chigara would fall for the trick so easily. He had to calm his racing mind. For now, he had to escape detection and alert his ship's security, or something. He racked his brain for what proper protocol for dealing with the doppelganger of the ship's captain was, but for some reason he couldn't remember being taught anything about it during his training at Space Force Academy. That's probably because they didn't really think it was going to happen. Perhaps he had slept through that one. Of course, the ship's design had left open a number of secret escape routes he could use to leave his room. A warship was inherently dangerous locality, and so a large number of concealed passages crisscrossed the ship so the crew would not be stranded in the event of a ship loss of structural integrity. Brilliant. Sheild slowly opened his closet and tore off the carpeting below, exposing an access gate to the tunnel leading to Deck Zero. To his relief, the gate still accepted his commands after he swiped the ID chip located on his sleeve of the security scanner. He opened the gate and motioned for Claude to follow him. After climbing down the tunnel, the pair dropped down from the ceiling onto the floor of the hallway. Shields immediately turned to Claude and interrogated her for answers. It seems like you have a better idea of what's going on than I do. You seem to have a better idea than I do about what the heck is going on. I want answers, Doctor. Wow, this is a surprise. You really don't remember anything? I can remember everything just fine. I'm Captain Kato Shields of the assault carrier Sunrider. We arrived at Sarah yesterday to take part in a critical operation to liberate our homeworld from Pact Loyalists forces in conjunction with the Alliance Combined Fleet. Ah, but can you remember what happened after that? After we arrived at Sarah, I spoke with the rider teams in the mess hall. Then I returned to my office to do some paperwork. And then the next thing I knew, I was in bed with you! Ah, so you have no memory of what happened after the operation. What the heck are you talking about? How would I know what happened after? The operation hasn't even begun yet. Huh. It appears you're suffering some memory loss thanks to your first temporal translocation. But don't worry, in just a few hours all your memories of what happened will return. Shield's brain spun at the disturbingly high frequency at which Claude was implying. Temporal translocation? Memory loss? He had known Claude was a ditz, but this was an entirely different level from her usual antics. There was no question something out of the galaxy was happening, though. He had just witnessed his body double flirting with Chigara as if it was the most casual thing in the world. He closed his eyes and tried his best to remember just how he'd got here. Oh gosh. Those images again. Bloody flashes of horror flashed in his head. He had no idea where they took place or when, but he knew Chigara was somehow involved. Those aren't just images. They're my memories, aren't they? Oh, I keep clicking that. Stop it. Ah, you do remember something, Captain? Massacre. Everything we worked for, destroyed. Horror. Knowing that much, I guess I can fill you in with the rest. 3 days from now, a disaster will occur in Sarah, which will thrust humanity into a war so devastating, it will make the neutral Rim War look like a mere playground scuffle in comparison. I'm sure you already have a premonition, but Chigara will be the catalyst who will spark that disaster. I've brought you here to rewrite the past to prevent that disaster from occurring. Once again, Shield's head received another bombshell of a revelation. What was Claude even saying? Bring him back to rewrite the past? Something like that was impossible. Suddenly, more memories played back in his head. You're telling me Claude is a time traveler?
No, far more than that. If such an entity could be given a name, then the closest description of her would be Claude is God.
Sheild rubbed his spinning head and fought back a mounting nausea. While his understanding of what had, or will, happen was still foggy, like trying to recall a dream he had seen months ago, Claude's seemingly impossible explanation seemed to validate by what fragmentary memory he still retained. Okay then. We alert the ship security and detain Chigara. Problem solved, right?
Actually, Captain.
He shook his head on his own naivety. Of course, resolving this wasn't going to be that simple. For all intents and purposes, the Kato Shield's hitting on Chigara in his office right now was the captain everyone accepted in this timeline. If he'd just revealed himself now, he would be the one getting detained and questioned. And giving his doppelgangers infiltration with the chief... infatuation with the chief. He doubted that convincing him whether she was a spy would be so easily, especially from inside a brig cell. The fact that he had less than 72 hours to stop a massacre meant he couldn't afford to risk getting confined in the brig for a duration of the coming battle. He had to take a more covert approach. Ooh, I like this. No, the proper protocol in such a situation would be to confine the captain's doppelganger in the brig for further questioning, which to everyone in this timeline would be me. We can't afford to blow our cover. We'll have to approach this differently. We recruit one person to help us, someone we can trust. Then the three of us work from the shadows to prevent a disaster from occurring.
Ooh, I see. Understood, Captain. Then who shall we recruit to our cause?
He gave that question a long thought. The person would have to be... Okay. Ooh. Alright. I'm gonna tell you right now, I kind of already, like, on the top of my head, I'll fetch. They're actually all great choices, and here's why. Asaka, fantastic choice, because during the battle, she already was convinced that Chigara was bad. It might not take much more convincing, especially from a second Kato Shields from the future, to tell her that she was actually right the whole time. Second, Ava. She would be the hardest to convince, but I feel like she would be the most valuable, most trustworthy, and most applicable person to work with. Plus, I really like Ava. And then there's Sola, who already knows that Claude is a time traveler, so getting her to work with us would be pretty easy. Akari, I suppose she'd be easiest to persuade, but she definitely would have to be calmed down. We'll have to see. But although I will be able to explore all of these myself, I have a feeling this is the beginning of the choices that will determine the ending. I don't know, maybe not. But if in my heart of hearts, I'm going to go with the person who I not only like the most out of these four, but I think I would trust the most and would want to approach, like if I were Kato Shields. That would be my lifelong friend, Ava. Naturally, the ship's XO would be the best person to turn to and help in this situation. Okay, we're going to Ava.
Are you sure about this, Captain? Knowing the stick in the mud woman, she'd probably be the first person to report you to security and lock you up in the brig.
No. Out of everyone on board the ship, there's no one else I trust more. Besides, she's been trying to convince me the past month that Chigara is a spy. Now I'm going to go to her and tell her she's been right all this time. We need Ava's help more than we need anyone else's. She's the highest ranking officer on board this ship, aside from me. Not to mention she's good at getting things done.
Well, if you say so, Captain. Just to be on the safe side, I think you should meet with her without me.
That'll probably be for the best. Yeah, she doesn't like her very much. After all, seeing you would probably put her in a bad mood. With that, Sheild set off to his usual place to find Ava. T-minus 36 hours to Liberation Day Massacre. 27 hours till Chigara enters the Mind Stream. Okay. If we can prevent the Mind Stream... But we needed that. Oof. Sure enough, he found Ava working at the bridge. He tried to walk into the bridge as casually as possible and approach her. It's like, hello, sir. And it's like, good soldier, just soldier. So ignore me. Hey, psst, Ava. Ava turned in irritation at Shield's unusual way to greeting her.
Is there a problem, Captain?
Yeah, come over here. Shields ushered Ava into a secluded corner of the bridge.
Captain, what appears to be the problem?
Well, Honestly, I had no idea where to even begin. Hello, Ava, my glorious childhood friend turned executive officer. I've just traveled back in time to prevent a future massacre from happening. Oh, by the way, don't trust anything the other guy who looks identical to me says, because he's heading all of you guys off into a big disaster. Yeah, like I could ever just say that.
Captain, you appear to be in a great amount of thought. I was in fact planning to visit you in your office sometime after finishing my shift to ensure that you were giving the battle plans due diligence.
Yes, I still remember that little incident. This is going to be difficult to believe, but I swear, upon that day in Advanced Academy when we tried to scrub the entire pool clean between just the two of us, that I am the Kato Shield you grew up with from childhood. Understood?
I see.
Shields took Ava's shoulders and whispered in her ear. First Officer Crescentia, what I'm about to tell you is highly classified matter, which directly affects the security of the entire galaxy. And as much as I would like to say this is a joke, I am being completely honest. I like his approach so far. He's like, okay, this is something we did together that no one else knows about. This is me. I know it's me. I need you to be careful. I have traveled in time from the future to warn you of an event which will occur shortly after a successful liberation of Sarah. Well, so far she seems to be taking it well. During the victory ceremony, Chief Engineer Ashada will fall under control of the prototypes and orchestrate the assassination of every major Alliance military leader at the ceremony, including Admiral Harold Gray. This event will spark an intergalactic war between the Solar Alliance and Pact, which will threaten the existence of humanity as we know it. Which is what we have to face in the next game. We have to deal with that. There's currently another Kato Shields frolicking with the Chief Engineer right now in my office. This is the Kato Shields that you know as your captain in this timeline. You must do everything in your power to prevent the Liberation Day Massacre, starting with the detention of Chief Engineer Ashada. Ava swallowed every word without a hint of surprise in her eyes. Really? Not even a little glimmer of one? Or maybe she's thinking to shoot us. Yet Shields knew that every word of what he just said sounded like a big prank. Finally, Ava nodded. Very well, Captain. I roughly understand the situation. Shields sighed in relief. I am very glad you believe me. Honestly, if our positions had been reversed, Indeed. Your final order to detain the ship's chief engineer appeared quite difficult to carry out, as my current superior officer has flatly denied my request that she be detained. That would be you. If I go to him now and repeat the same demand, I doubt the outcome would be any different. And of course, if I unilaterally detained her, I imagine the fallout would be quite grave. As circumstances currently are, he may strip me in my rank for insubordination. Ava certainly did have a point. As long as the highest-ranked officer on board the ship was protecting Chigara, there wasn't anything the XO could do about it. Well, besides drastic action, but let's see if we can hold that off. Shields pulled his hair in frustration at his own past self-stubbornness. For a moment, he was overcome with the desire to march up to his office and smack some sense into his other self. Pretty sure a paradox would ensue. First, I will head to Deck Zero and confirm whether there is truly another Kato Shield in your office right now. You will escort me there, stand outside in the hallway, while I speak to him inside. Once I have verified that there are indeed 2 copies of you in this universe, I will make what preparations I can to stop the prototype's plot. This is why I love Ava. Just no nonsense, just I can prove it real quickly, I'm gonna go do so, I'm not gonna even question or panic about this, I'll solve it when I figure it out. Awesome. Alright, sounds like a plan. For once, Shield's heart swelled at having such an effective executive officer. He should have appreciated the work she did for him. Upon looking back at how he had threatened her, his heart ached with regret. She had been right all this time about Chigara, but he opposed her at every turn. He had even dragged up his past relationship with her as an excuse to defend Chigara. He had to apologize. Only with the benefit of hindsight did he now know how wrong he was. The 2 of them entered the lift and headed up to Deck Zero. Shield stood outside his office while Ava spoke with the other Shields inside. After a brief moment, she emerged, her face grave. A part of me suspected that this was merely an elaborate prank, but I see that you are the real deal, Kato Shields. I imagine you will not just tell me how you managed to travel back in time. I'm afraid not. I don't really know. You wouldn't want to know anyway.
Very well. Perhaps I am better off in the dark in regards to such dangerous matters. But I believe you are telling the truth. There can be no other explanation as to why you would suddenly change your position on the chief engineer, aside from the fact that you are indeed from the future, and do not believe you are some body I do not believe you are some body double impersonating the Kato Sheild I know either. See, that's what Akari, I think, would have the hard time overcoming, would be, why can't you just be a double? But the situation is no better, as I am utterly incapable of convincing the current captain of the ship to change his mind.
Well, if she believes me, could we corner that captain and, like, just quietly imprison him somewhere? Eject him in an escape pod or something? I mean, I am him. I could effectively just take command. About that, Ava. I'm not sure how much this means to you given the circumstances, but I'm sorry for how I treated you in the office right now, and before that too, when you tried to convince me to detain Shigara. Captain, it hardly makes any sense to apologize for the actions of another individual you have no control over, regardless of the fact that he is your identical clone. No, the guy in there's still me, and I feel ashamed to even look at him. He lost too much, and just wants to keep hearing that he'll come back to Sarah with a new family. I shouldn't have treated you so poorly. I hurt you. I still can't believe some of the things I said. I was emotional. I never should have accused you of being jealous or anything stupid like that. You'll always be a lot more to me than just an executive officer, Ava. I can't put into words how much I regret saying anything else. Captain, while I appreciate your honesty in admitting you were wrong about the chief engineer, I believe there's a time and a place for anything further, and that moment is not now. We appear to be in the midst of a conspiracy to murder the top Alliance military brass. First, we must unravel this plot before deciding on anything else. Spoken exactly like Ava. Alright, but after all this is over, then I guess we'll talk. Suddenly, the klaxon sounded, interrupting Sheild's moment. Oh, right! The surprise attack, starting now. Red alert! Red alert! The Pact fleet has made its move! Now of all times! Sheild sprang into action. His past self was going to come running out the door at any moment. He had to hide. We'll be in touch! He ran down the hallway and vanished. As soon as he turned around the corner, Claude joined him. So, how'd it go? She believes me, but other than the other self's not going to be letting Ava detain Shigara anytime soon. So she didn't toss you into the brig? No. We're too close to ever doubt each other again. Shield's recollection was coming back. It was about this time when the Pact fleet advanced, choosing to launch a frontal assault and using their riders to decimate the Alliance shield cruisers, so that their battleships could whittle down the Alliance fleet from a distance using laser attacks. Everything was happening exactly the same as before. We can't let the crew see you here. Cloud opened the maintenance tunnel and crawled inside. In here, hurry. Oh yeah, because she technically was dead. No, she wasn't. So there's another one of her on the ship then. Despite knowing that another Kato Sheild is no doubt rushing to the bridge right now, he couldn't help but feel like a pathetic coward crawling inside a maintenance tunnel to hide throughout the battle. No, my place was on the bridge. I have to protect everyone. Finally, his better senses reined in his emotions. No, he just had to leave that up to Ava and the rest of the crew. He wasn't going to protect anyone by marching into the bridge right now. Sheild swallowed his pride and crawled into the maintenance shaft. Claude shut the gate, swallowing the two of them in darkness. All Shields could hear was the pounding of his heart, sweat dripping down his eyebrows, tickling his nose, and filling his mouth with the taste of sulfur. In a surreal moment, he heard his own voice over the intercom. All hands prepare for anti-rider combat. Shortly afterwards, the dull drumbeat of the Sunrider's flak guns echoed through the tunnel. Oh, I miss the Sunrider so much. The hull creaked as shrapnel from intercepted missiles harmlessly bounced off the ship's armor. Every passing moment felt like torture. Shields had grown accustomed to being in command, and the idea of being helpless, trapped inside a hole, turned his stomach. He closed his eyes and prayed that Ava would be safe. But what would Kato Sheild on the floor of the bridge right now? Did he even care for her as he did? Suddenly, Ava's shrill voice on the intercom broke his thoughts. All hands, brace for impact! Sheild did his best to grip the walls of the tunnel, but was thrown completely flat on his face again into a massive shockwave. The tunnel bent and fuses burst, covering him with sparks. He knew that sensation. A hit that size could only mean that a packed battleship's quantum torpedo had gone past their flank net and scored a direct hit. Darn it, what the heck was that buffoon on the bridge doing? He wiped the blood from his lips and pulled himself up. Smoke seeped through the gate, meaning that the hallway outside was now on fire. Sheild cautiously opened the gate by a sliver and peeked outside, only to come face to face with a raging inferno. Ooh, that don't look good. Crewmen pulled flame retardant hoses from the walls and struggled to put out the fire. Sheild spotted the technician lying on the floor nearby, his uniform matted with blood, the fire approaching him, threatening to swallow him whole. If I jump out now, I can still save him. I have to do something, but would that mean blowing my cover? Oh no! Ah! We'll have to save this decision for the next time, so let me know what you think I should do. I don't have any input to really know, other than the... Oh... Okay, immediate thoughts in the head. Once that, it's so chaotic, maybe no one will remember me or recognize me, but B, I also have the captain, and I think my cover is pretty important for this mission. By the laws of time, I shouldn't interfere. I don't know, I can't keep bringing people into my web of lies, I don't know. So, I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below, what do you think I should do? What would you do in this case? If you know what happens, don't say anything. But if you don't, give me your thoughts and insights on this one. I want to hear what you think, and we'll see what happens in the next episode. Thank you so much for being a part of this channel and for enjoying this series. I love making every single episode of this, and I'm grateful that so many of you enjoyed as well. You guys make this channel amazing. Thank you for all your support, and until the next video you watch with me or whatever you happen to see me in next, I'll see you there.